Way back in 2013, a pretty insignificant year in the 2010s for many reasons, but there was one thing that made it stand out. Wizards of the Coast putting out the 2013 Commander decks. They featured Commander cards that are staples of the format to this day. Most everyone has had a Prosh food chain them to death, or felt the burn from playing against a Nekasar deck, or even the frustration at the absurd life Oloro can generate from his ability long before anyone even uttered the word Eminence. But one card stood out, both to me and a lot of other players, at the time of release and now. Derevi, Imperial Tactician. This legendary bird wizard is apparently so powerful their name gets bandied around during rules committee discussions on potential bannings. Derevi is in fact banned in one-on-one or dual commander as a general. So what I wish to do here is examine what makes a powerful and strong commander using Derevi as a jumping off point, and hopefully answering the question, what makes a powerful commander? We'll start therefore with taking a look at Derevi herself. Derevi Imperial Tactician is a 2/3 bird wizard for 1 green, 1 white and 1 blue. They are flying and read, whenever Derevi Imperial Tactician enters the battlefield or a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may tap or untap target permanent. And for 1 generic, 1 green, 1 blue and 1 white, put Derevi onto the battlefield from the command zone. From breaking down the card, I think we can identify 3 major points that make her uniquely positioned in terms of power and playability. These are their colour identity and keywords, static ability, and, finally, their interaction with Commander's unique rules. So, in turn, let's dissect each point and take a look at other powerful legends as well, to see how much each point can influence a creature's strength, and hopefully answer our question concisely. Colour identity matters in Commander, this is a fact. You cannot play a blue blink effect in Preston, no matter how much no matter how much you might want to. These restrictions lead to different styles of play, combos, and synergies being available to some commanders, but not to others. For example, keeping with the blink theme, Preston is a mono white commander and therefore cannot access blue blink effects like Ghostly Flicker, whereas a commander like Brago King Eternal can. Furthermore, Rune of the Hidden Realm, another blink-focused commander, also has access to green, which enable them to have a better access to more high-value ETB triggers and a larger pool of potential combos and win conditions. Does this therefore mean Rune of the Hidden Realms is a better blink commander than Brago? Well, not according to its price, a copy of either card that has received multiple printings, or even the number of decks submitted to EDHREC. Now, these are not conclusive indicators, but are noteworthy pieces of data. More colours doesn't necessarily mean a stronger commander. Aminatou is a well-known and strong blink commander. This is primarily due to her potential to infinitely combo with Felidar Guardian, and her -2 ability generating repeatable ETBs. I would thus put forward this notion that both the colours of the commander as well as the cost of that commander have a strong relationship to the power of it. Or to put it a bit more simply, fitting colours and a lower cost make for a more powerful commander. The abilities of the legend make the card. This may be somewhat obvious, but it's worth going over every inch of text to determine why certain abilities are powerful and others that might seem to do a similar effect are not. Let's take Shana the Purifying Blade and Oloro Ageless Aesthetic for a case example. For this we'll be concentrating on just the creature's draw ability. Both are able to draw cards for a cost of generic mana, 1 mana per card they'll be drawing. A rather similar ability as both depend on life gained. The key difference however lies in 2 things: timing restrictions and its impact on the game. Shana's ability only triggers in the end step, thus leaving you with less mana on your opponent's turn for any interactions you have or have maybe drawn with Shana. Meanwhile, Oloro's ability has no restrictions. If you tap a pristine talisman in your opponent's turn, you can still use the mana produced by the talisman to draw a card, which will also have the added effect of losing each opponent 1 life, And this is what I mean by impact on the game state. Shana's draw is just that, draw. Draw that is dependent on your life gained during your own turn, while Alora's is draw during any turn and any phase, giving us more options for when to use it. And this also adds a ticking clock element to the game of your opponent's life totals being chipped away. Now back to Derevi. Derevi's ability has two major points that make her strong, as it triggers both on her entering the battlefield to untap or tap any permanent. This also triggers when they, or any other creature you control, deals combat damage to a player. This can extensively allow you to play anything out you want in main phase 1, attack, and then untap your lands to have access to interaction on your opponent's turn. And Derevi having flying and thus allowing for evasion is massively helpful in ensuring damage getting through. The key word here again is versatility. Derevi often gets reviled as a commander due to propensity for her to be used as a commander for a stacks-based deck around cards like Winter Orb, Stasis, and Back to Basics. As with Derevi's untap ability on combat damage, the player is able to get around these effects by untapping their lands with Derevi themselves. Thus, some of the feelings of utter disgust people have when seeing our bird wizard are more understandable. And we even get a better look at how this ability leads to the creature's corresponding power level. Preventing your opponents from playing the game at all by keeping their lands tapped is a fairly strong move. But what can we glean from this? That stacks and life gain are good? No, just really no. What we can learn from this is that the ability to grant yourself value while simultaneously being versatile in its use is the core of most strong abilities. This is especially true when commanders are placed in the right environment. Take two other powerful commanders, Edgar Markov or Marnius Kalgar. Two cards that, should they be leading a deck not filled with vampires, or not filled with token generation respectively, they would have a massively diminished power level. So not only must the commander itself have a strong ability, but this must equally be catered for within the deck itself to truly maximize its potential. Or, if we cut that down slightly, a strong commander will have an ability that is versatile and or generates value over your opponents. And with the mention of Edgar Markov, we can get into our last category. The 2013 Commanders marked a significant change in Wizards card design, where Commanders' unique rules, such as the Command Zone, were starting to be played with. Prosh gave more kobolds, Marith got bigger and bigger the more mana was spent on them, and Derevi just laughed in the face of the idea of command attacks by only ever being 4 mana to be put onto the battlefield. An uncounterable creature that has essentially flash, it's easy to see how a few of these legends stayed in the EDH zeitgeist while others faded. However, no other commander has such an ability. Derevi is unique in this regard, but others have other ways of reducing their cost or just straight up ignoring the tax. Millicent Restless Revenant is able to reduce their own cost down to just 1 white and blue provided you have enough spirits, and this reduction includes command attacks. Dargo the Shipwrecker is a weirder example, keeping track of everything sacrificed that turn. A common commander at higher levels of play for their ability to simply sack 3 artifacts or creatures and cost a single red mana, only to then be sacrificed himself to, let's say, generating a red mana with Phyrexian Altar. Now another permanent, himself, has been sacrificed, thus he costs 2 generic less, as he's still keeping track. A more convoluted means of getting around command attacks, but an excellent bit of card design. And then we have the Eminence commanders. Cards like Edgar Markov, the Dragon, and Inala, all who give advantage to you from being in the command zone. Whether that be generating tokens, reducing costs of large-scale threats, or giving untold value by doubling up wizards with token copies. Yes, these commanders still today come with big groans from opponents who know you're about to generate a stupid amount of vampires with no drawback and spending no additional resources. And that, I think, is the crux of what I'm trying to piece together with this point. Some of the most powerful commanders we see give a sense, real or imagined, of advantage without having to use any cards or additional cost that's too over the top to achieve. Derevi is a good, strong commander, but the fact that they have a means of not only having essentially the keyword flash, but ignoring the command attacks rule and also becoming pseudo-uncounterable is, I believe, what pushes her over the edge. So, in summary, and to add our final bit of the puzzle, for a commander to be powerful, they should have an interaction with the nature of the game. Cards like Soren Markov and Sarah Ascendant are cards that spring to mind when talking about this. Powerful in EDH due to starting life totals being 40. Thus, Soren's -3 is backbreaking, and the Ascendant is a 6/6 flyer with lifelink that costs 1 white mana. Articulating the point best I can, I believe it would be strong commanders tend to have a means of interacting with the unique rules of EDH to grant an advantage. So, that's it. We've cracked the formula for the ultimate commander, and how or why cards like Derevi are strong commanders. But, when we take a look at the higher end of the format, we see a completely different landscape. One where Derevi, in all her power, is completely absent. CDH is a part of the Commander game. It is a variant that is entirely about going as hard as physically possible to win the game, a format that exists in the margins. A format in which profound long-form discussions occur about the cutting or adding of one card that can cause long-term friendships to implode. Okay, maybe not that drastic, but it does offer a window into what playing with actual power can look like, if you'll forgive the pun. So, how can powerful commanders, legends that fill other people with dread when revealed to their opponents, not have a place in the most powerful variant of the format? Is this because I alone have discovered the future powerhouse of CDH, and all other players clearly don't understand the format as well as I? No, of course not. There's clearly something else missing. And that is something Einstein himself took years to piece together. Relativity. Playing Edgar Markov out of the box against other precons will put you in an already positive position against others due to his eminence ability, as we've already talked about. But when other people's decks are utilising their commanders, like Thrasios Triton Hero, to be able to win the game on turn 3, no matter how many one-drop vampires you can play out, you're clearly playing a very different game. I went out and asked a few of our CDH playing friends whether our case study Bird Wizard makes any appearance at all in CDH, and the consensus came back very quickly and astutely as only in Najeela decks as a combo piece. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. No bothering with colour identity, nor her ability to get around command attacks with flash. Just another toy in Najeela's toolbox of infinite win conditions. Thus, we must take a step back and truly look at what makes a legend powerful, and I think it comes from what else is around them. If Derevi is played in a pod with other legends, such as Animar, Brago, and let's say the Ur-Dragon, then it would still be a powerful card. But within the realms of strength with other commanders. But played at a CDH table, she'd be laughed out of the room. I'm sorry, that makes CDH players seem unpleasant when they're in fact some of the nicest people I've ever met. But you understand my point. Power is relative, and the strength of a commander comes from the deck, its style, and also the strength of the other commanders at the table. Therefore, we can add our truly final point to help answer our question. A strong commander has a high impact on the game relative to the level of play. These points, I hope, can provide some sort of roadmap to deciding how powerful a commander is, or could be when they're spoiled during preview seasons. Honestly, this took a lot of piecing together, looking at games and trying to articulate the points as best I could. And that is what I truly think might be the best definition I can come up with and help answering the question of what makes a strong and powerful commander. If you personally think of anything else that helps with this definition, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Also, let us know if you like this style of video. Let us know in the comments below as well. As always, I want to thank our amazing patrons for keeping the channel afloat. We love you guys so much. And if you too want to help support the channel, then you can also check out our Patreon page for access to our Discord, tokens, and Games with Martin and I. Otherwise, guys, as always, I've been Alex. I'll see you next time.